What is up, everybody? Welcome to Sales Stories in Real Life, episode 2 with the great Mor Assouline. He quit his first job out of college because he was so scared of sales and went on to become a 3-time VP of sales, tripled ARR at 2 of those companies in under a year, went on to now launch his own company, FDTC, where he's teaching AEs how to close more. He is the #1 B2B SaaS sales trainer and coach, Mor Assouline. Looking forward to hearing your story about how you were upsold at a restaurant. What happened,
Yeah,
Mor?
yeah. Well, number one, what a great introduction. I couldn't have said it better myself. But yeah. So at a restaurant, I don't go shopping much, but I do go eat at restaurants from time to time. And I went into a restaurant. It was a relatively new restaurant. Looked at the menu. I was eyeing my on two items on the menu. I think it was like a steak and then like a burger or something, two different items. And I asked the waitress, I was like, "Hey, what's good here? I'm looking at these two items. What's better? What are people saying?" She looks at me. She's like, "None of them." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "None of those two items are what I'd recommend. What are you in the mood for?" She asks me. And usually when I go to a restaurant, nobody asks me what I'm in the mood for. They just be like, "Oh yeah, either one is good. Yeah, they're both good. They're both great." Very vanilla responses. So I was like, "What am I in the mood for?" I'm like, "I'm in the mood for meat, obviously." She goes, "Yeah, but do you want like a sandwich type of meat? Do you want like a taco kind of meat? Do you want like a bigger meal? How hungry are you?" I'm like, I'm pretty hungry. She's like, "On a scale of 1 through 10, can you eat like a whole plate for yourself, or are you more like I'm appetizer hungry?" I'm like, "No, I can eat a whole plate for myself." She goes, "Well, then I'd recommend you actually look at our Texas. I think it's called what do they call those steaks? Big steaks, tomahawk steaks, not Texas steak, tomahawk steaks." And it was clearly the most expensive item on the menu. And I literally told her, I'm like, "This is the most expensive item on the menu. Of course, you're gonna tell me that." She goes, "Yeah, you're right. It is the most expensive item on the menu, but it's also the most delicious one. And it's the one that always gets sold out." So she was agreeing with everything that I was saying, but then she, you know, gave transition and segued into another area of the pitch. And so I ordered that. And I'm like, "Okay, give me that medium." I didn't even tell her medium rare. She's like, if you like steak, then you probably know your steaks. You probably like it out of medium rare, right?" I was like, "Yes, I do." So she got a medium rare for me. And then she says to me, she's like, "Okay, do you want me to slice it up for you also? So that way when we bring it on a plate, you don't have to cut it and it's nicely sliced." I'm like, "Yeah." So like she's upselling me, but with for free, meaning she's upselling me on slicing the steak. She's upselling me on how it's going to be cooked. Like when I say upselling, I mean she's adding value to the sale without me having to pay. That's, in my opinion, that's an upsell to an extent. So that was all good. And she goes, "You know what would really go well with the steak?" I said, "What?" She goes, "One of our a red wine. I recommend the what was it? It was a Cabernet Sauvignon, whatever how you pronounce it. I'm not French, but that would go really well with a steak. Do you want a glass?" I was like, "Yeah, please." So she got me to like her and trust her because she came in not just like being an order taker, she cared for what I wanted to eat. And so she came in mid steak and she saw like she brought the food. I'm eating the steak. I'm still eating. It was a tomahawk steak. It's pretty damn big, but I finished a glass of wine. She goes, "How do you like it so far? How's the steak? Was I right?" And I said, "Yeah, you were right." She's like, "The wine was good. I can tell you finished it." "Yep. Let me give you another. It'll go real well with the rest of the steak." That was an upsell. And so she brought me another glass of wine, drank it. Um, and I mean, yeah, she upsold me on dessert later on. She goes, "So you like the steak that I recommended you? You like the wine twice that I recommended you. Do you trust me now?" And I said, "Yeah, I trust you now." She goes, "Okay, well, I have to recommend you the best dessert. You can't live without it." I said, "Okay, give it to me. What is it?" And she recommended the chocolate souffle. And so I ordered the souffle. That was a good experience.
And I bet you left a very happy customer.
Yeah, I did. Because usually, if you order steaks at restaurants, if the restaurants are busy, then they kind of like overcook the steak or undercook the steak. But she took ownership. Yeah, she just came in really prepared. Asked, did discovery, right? I didn't come in. She's like, "Oh, I like this one or this one." "Well, get the burger." "No, but I don't want a burger. I want the steak." "So get the steak." No, she completely like changed my frame of mind, my perspective.
I love that. So let's break that down for a second, because all the way back at the beginning, you were originally asking about a steak or a burger, right? And from there, she didn't say, hey, you should get our most expensive steak and 2 glasses of expensive wine, right? She said, what are you in the mood for, right? How do you want it cooked? How do you want it sliced? So how did that make you feel heard as a buyer, right? Like what's happening in that moment for you as a buyer in that?
Yeah, in that moment, she wasn't being a waitress. She was, I mean, she was being a waitress, but she wasn't being like the typical waitress or waiter that I was dealing with, where they would just take the order based on what I told them I wanted. I would call them, they were more like a food connoisseur, if that was a title she was acting like, a food connoisseur or a uh, restaurant customer advisor. Like that should have been her title, because she wasn't just taking orders.
A food consultant.
A food
Um,
consultant.
and I mean, not only did she do all that, she then did the same thing for the dessert when she already had your full trust, right? She knows you at that point. There's also one other interesting thing that I wrote down here is that you confronted her right away about the price, right? You said, hey, this is the most expensive thing on the menu.
Right.
And how did she stand up for that and get you to then back it? Because that is very applicable to a B2B seller's role, right? Everyone's gotten the price
Yeah,
adjustment
they they
before.
they they show the price. Yeah. So what she did, which is what I think is like a number one rule in sales. There's a lot of number one rules in sales. This is one of them, and it's always agree with the customer. So even if the customer is not right, always agree with them. So price is too expensive. Yeah, you're right. Oh, there are other competitors that do the same thing. Yeah, you're right. There are other competitors that do the same thing, but this is why we do it slightly different. Like, so you agree first, and that puts their guard down. It's like, oh, you're not trying to fight me on this. We're on the same page here, because that's what she was doing. Like, the waiter or the waitress, they're not against me. They're here for me to help me have a great experience. So, and the same with sales. You're in sales. You're not, when you're negotiating or you're dealing with an objection. It's not you and them against each other. It's you're more like this next to each other and having a conversation. And so that's what she did. So she agreed first. She goes, yes, you're right. It is the most expensive thing on the menu. So that I was like, okay, so well, she at least agrees with me. So we're thinking the same thing. She's not, she doesn't have a different perspective. Try to go, I'm going to get political just for a second, but not get political at the same time. Whether you like Donald Trump or whether you don't like Donald Trump, go tell somebody that doesn't like Donald Trump or does like Donald Trump, you should like Donald Trump because no, I should. Well, they have a different perspective. But imagine you go to somebody and say you should like Donald Trump because of X, Y, Z. Yeah, you're right. I should like him because of X, Y, Z. Boom, like they're on the same page now. The ego, the anger goes away. And so that's exactly what she agreed first. And that allowed her, that earned her the right to pitch me something else.
They're not forcing their way of thinking onto you, in other words. So that ties perfectly here. How can a professional salesperson that's listening right now apply this to this daily role, to their daily role, excuse me?
Yeah, so you're when we're talking about sales professional, we're talking about like B2B SaaS professional selling software. Or you're talking about like any sales professional.
Any sales professional, if you
Yeah.
want to, say particularly for SaaS, go for it.
I'll speak to SaaS because that's the industry that I'm in. But you're selling software, prospect says, "Oh, I looked at so and so competitor and they also have this." Right? What are you gonna say? No, they don't have it. No, they don't really have it the way we do it. No, that's not the way to do it. You have to agree first, get them to bring their guard down, get them to realize that you have the same mindset as them, same point of view, same perspective. So, Alex, you tell me, hey, so and so has the same features. You're absolutely right. You're spot on. You beat me to it. I was going to tell you that so and so also has this. Do you want to know the difference between what so and so does and what we do and what customers have been telling us? Because they're very similar at face value. You're now more open to listening to me because I was more open to agreeing with you. Or hey, the price is too high. Yeah, you're right. When the price is probably higher than what you've seen. Can I tell you? Can I tell you why we're different? Or can I tell you what the difference between this price versus the price that you've seen? Whatever it is. But the point is, you agree first.
You heard it here first, folks. Agree with the customer, even if they're not right. So that way they let down their guard and you could share a potential different point of view. Mor, this has been great. Why don't you plug something before we hop off?
Yeah, buy my stuff. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, if you're looking for if you're an AE, specifically an AE, I'm not necessarily working with SDRs, but specifically an AE, you're doing demos, deals, and you could be hitting quota still. You're hitting quota consistently, but you feel like you have deals on your fingertips that should have closed and that didn't. And you can check out FDTC University to get training for the university, or you can get one-on-one coaching with me. Where to find it? You can go to www.demotoclose.com. I don't know anyone that introduces their website with a www. So demotoclose.com. You can check it out there.
Go check out more stuff, everybody. That is a wrap. Next episode coming next Tuesday. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Take it easy, everyone.